Welcome to Stafford City Council. Reminder, if you have a cell phone to mute it or turn it off, it's up to you. We have full quorum. We have Councilman Seals he's joining us on the telephone right now. And our Pledge of Allegiance is going to be offered by Councilman Brad Hemphill, followed by the occasion is Councilman Mike Anazola. Remain standing for it all, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lord God, Father, we thank you for this day which you bestowed upon us, Lord. We give you thanks for this rain that we're getting, Lord, and we just pray that we have some out here for this dry parts of our area that is protected, Lord. We ask you to please pray for our council, our directors, our employees, as we make decisions tonight, Lord. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you, Councilman. We appreciate that. Item 5, citizen comments on agenda items, and 6, none. Okay. Brings us to item 7. We're going to go ahead and open up a public hearing for the purpose of the budget and tax levy fiscal year. Kabrina, you want to go ahead and talk about that?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we're holding a public hearing for any citizen comments on the budget, the truth in taxation that has been published, and the request to Council to keep the tax rate at the 0.5135% that it was last year. Did the Council have any questions on that?
Do you have any questions on that?
No, I don't. I saw in the media that they tried to explain how crazy it is for us to say that we're not raising it, but I was glad to see that out there.
Yeah, we do have the explanation on how that is calculated, and the rate is staying the same. It's based on your valuation of your home.
Okay, you want to go ahead and hit the item number 2 as well?
Tammy, do we have to close that? We're good? Okay. So item number 2 would be the the adoption of the final budget. Or, oh, I'm sorry, the truth in taxation. Sorry, skipping ahead. So the truth in taxation notice was, again, just explaining to the citizens that we are keeping our rate at 5.135%. And this is the official notice that gets put out by the state. The word specific, the font is specific. Any questions on that?
Does council have any questions? All right, go ahead and open it up to the floor. Anybody have anything for that? If not, we're going to move right along. I don't see everybody jumping up at once to talk. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing and reconvene and start special meeting, which is item 9.1, final budget resolution R2-023. Kabrina?
Mayor and Council, this is a request to adopt Resolution R22-023, the adoption of the final budget for fiscal year 2023. This sets the maximum expenditure at $73,855,675, and within that is an $8 million of contingency spread across all funds. There's been no changes from the tentative budget.
I move we approve resolution R22-023, the final
Second.
budget.
We have a motion and a second. We have any more discussion? Kabrina, is the ARPA funding, is that COVID-19 relief money?
The ARPA funding? Yes.
Huh?
Yes, that is.
Yes, it is. Besides using the ARPA money on parks, did the council ask any of you guys to spend that money?
Did you ask us to spend the money? When we had our CIP meetings, those projects were designated
From the staff?
from council and staff.
Okay, so you think the council did have input onto it?
Yes, during the CIP meetings that we
But
had.
did staff bring recommendations to the council?
We brought recommendations. Those recommendations were reviewed during the CIP budget meeting. And then as we left, that was the list that we have out there that is listed for ARPA is what I was under the impression the
Right, but what I'm
council.
saying is, I believe the only thing that council asked to be spent on was parks, correct? And then staff brought recommendations of how to spend that ARPA money, correct?
No, I don't believe so.
No? We asked, go ahead.
Mayor Couts, staff did bring recommendations, and as a result of the work session, those items that we felt were to be funded were put into the budget. So prior to the tentative budget, those items were listed in other packets that contained budget information. So if the council wanted to adjust those projects, they could have, and you still can tonight, I suppose, right? They can still amend, right? So if that's something council wants to look at, we can, but again, when we bring the packets back and we put the information in there, if there's issues with the budget at that point, then that's the point where, you want to let us know so we can adjust it.
There was issues 2 weeks ago that I had, correct? And was any of those ever addressed? Did you ever try to contact me to address those issues?
We did not change them, no.
We did not change it. Right, because it takes a majority for vote to change it,
Correct.
correct? Exactly. Okay, so that's what my whole point is last I remember, the council asked that the ARPA money be used, was to be held and used as we needed because we felt that we weren't out of the pandemic, correct? You remember that? Remember that talk? If I'm not mistaken, it's Councilman Seal that was really saying, hey, let's just hold tight. So, anyway, this here will be a roll call.
Can I just? before
Yes,
we
you
go?
can. Go ahead.
Just so council's aware, if you would like to make any changes to any of the ARPA projects, I mean, we can still fund them by other means and make adjustments to the budget. Obviously, we can't exceed the cap, but we can hold off on funding that project if that's the desire of council. If you want to amend and change the funding stream, I think we can do that on the final. So again, I do not want to through and put these ARPA projects out there if the council's not on board with doing it. So if the council would like to make some kind of alteration, whether we remove the hangar project or refund it through other means, we can do that. So that option is still available.
Well, when the council was hit with the pandemic, we decided to help the residents with that. We did it twice, correct?
Yeah.
We helped them on their utility bill, Safford residents. And then we also talked about holding the money until after this quote-unquote pandemic to see where we stood. I still think that we have opportunity to help our residents. The staff has figured out a way to spend this money with CityWorks software to the tune of, what was it, 74,000 plus or whatever it was, and airport hangars that have absolutely nothing to do with putting Safford residents first. Absolutely nothing to do with putting residents first. It's an elite people that it's going to be used at the tune of $714,000 to that. And I don't think that's the right way to spend our money. I don't think that's the right way to spend this ARPA money. I think the ARPA money was used for COVID relief. And I think just because you get the money, don't mean you have to spend the money. The way if I'm not mistaken, the way it was designed with the ARPA funding is that it came in and that it was to go to, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was to go to first responders, right? Correct? Or into a
Mayor
pot.
Council, that was CARES Act. That was
That
the
was
first.
CARES Act, the
Correct.
first one?
Yes.
Okay.
And we still have money from that we still hasn't been spent.
How much is that?
I believe 500,000.
500?
Right. And as far as the ARPA funding goes, the ARPA funding evolved from the interim final rule to the final rule, where we were struggling with trying to find ways to spend the money. We didn't know if we could even do it on recreation. So we finally got a final rule, which I guess is kind of redundant. But at that point, we were looking for opportunities to expend the funds. Now, given the conversations that we've had with council, we thought that the hangars, given the demand much higher.
Okay,
So again,
so-
you wouldn't necessarily lock yourself into anything. We would have an opportunity to adjust that at some later point. Even if we adopt the budget in its current form, we could always come back if council wants and amend and move those funds. So again, don't feel like you're handcuffed into going forward, that if the council as a whole wants to approach that differently.
Well, later on in this council, in this meeting, we're going to be talking about hangar leases, oddly enough. The monthly lease of a hangar is $117.37 on the original lease rate and an annual increase of 3%. for the total amount of a year of $1,408.44 per hangar. And you're spending $640,000 on airport hangars. You'll never return your investment. How is that ARPA funding going to use to help our residents out? It's
Well,
not.
there's again, that's a valid position. What I would say is this, that we are looking at doing an adjustment to our fees at the airport. We're currently going through that process. And the return on investment is 100%, right? Because we're not spending any of our own money. Now, again, I'm not trying to tell you that that's the best use, and if the council themselves want to go forward and withhold those funds and use them on parks improvements, if that's the direction we want to go in, then we can do that. I just need direction from the entire council to do that.
I just think it's free money is something you don't just spend just
No,
because it's
I
free.
agree. But we've also
Um,
had many conversations about economic development at the airport, so this is another brick in that wall, really.
But John, I asked, if I'm not mistaken, I asked for something to come back to us on our hangars, our hangar leases, quite a few months back. And if I'm not mistaken, it was at the MIAC when we had that meeting, and we kind of discussed a little bit about this, and I heard crickets until we finally get a liaison out there, and they're bringing us up a 3% increase, $1,400 a year lease for a hangar. I just think that the only way you're going to get me to approve or to vote on this budget is if we remove $714,000, the only way I'd approve it. I think we need to get rid of the CityWorks software. I think that's something the city should be providing because it's benefiting the city. I think the airport hangars needs to come off there because it's not putting the residents first. What I feel ARPA funding should be. With that, we have a motion in a second. I would like to see that gone.
I'd like to make a comment. As far as as far as the airport goes, I think to me, that's one of our assets, and it's a very important asset. Whatever we can do to improve it, that's, in the future, you look down the road, that's gonna be an industrial park, whatever. So, and definitely, right, we have to study the leases, that they are, well, they're beautiful, for the people. So we have things to look at the airport, but we also have to keep it growing. With the fire protection, there's so many things out there that has to be done, as far as I'm concerned.
McGoy, did you have something?
Yeah, I just curious, what is the time frame in which the ARPA money has to be spent?
Mayor Council, Councilman McGoy, I think that December of 2026, it has to be expended.
26? I
Yeah.
thought it was earlier than that. 'Cause I looked it
24,
up.
it has to be budgeted for, and 26, I believe it has to be expended, correct? Yeah, so December of 24, it has to be budgeted, December of 26, it has to be expended.
But if we put it in this budget and then don't spend it because of council decisions, it can still be put back in next year.
That's correct. And again, that's why I'm saying, if the council as a whole feels that that is a project they want to put on hold, then staff will not expend those funds, those ARPA funds, and we can repurpose them at a later date, and we can do that.
Mayor, what was the price again you were saying?
714,000.
I thought it was 6, but.
Huh?
I thought it was less, but I.
Well, it is. The airport is 640.
Oh, okay.
The airport is 640,000, and then the CityWorks software said, the thing that I have, I can hear what the vice mayor is saying, but if the airport has been critical and we see it, council sees it as a huge asset and we want to expand it, then why the heck are you using free money to do that? Why wasn't it first on your agenda to say, I want to expand the airport, I want to bring the airport? I mean, we had somebody out there that was trying to do something and we stopped that. So I just think that that's just, and then $640,000, and I'd like to know how many hangars that we think we're going to be able to provide for $640,000.
I think it's 10, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see that.
Mayor, do we need?
What size are they? 1,200 square foot? Did you have something, Councilman Gonzalez?
Mayor, so if we wanted to, can we re-amend the motion, or do we go straight forward with this motion that we have right now?
But we could amend this motion that we yank this out. Or as Councilman McGoy said, that we don't have to spend that money right now, but we could utilize it some other place.
Okay, I'll amend the motion to,
You didn't make the motion.
oh, sorry.
Vice Mayor.
Okay.
No, I won't.
I'd like to see us leave it in there in case we do need it for something, because, I mean, it can be spent on anything down the road, but if it's not in there, it can't be spent.
But the $640,000, when we do this, is dedicated to that airport.
Not necessarily. If we
Absolutely
say
it
it's-
is.
If we say
Mayor and
it's not,
council,
it's
you
not.
could always do a budget reauthorization at a later date to
Yeah,
move
but-
those funds.
That ain't
And,
gonna
and
come
Mayor and council, if it is the intention of this council to hold back on that project, regardless of what the final outcome is, then we'll make sure we don't spend it right away, and if we do something with it, we'll bring it back.
I call for a motion, or
Well,
whatever you
I
call
Call
it.
for the question.
I just had a comment, if I might.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, it's, the hangar leases are not, real profitable necessarily. But I don't think we can measure their total value based on what they bring in, because as the Vice Mayor said, the airport is something that, I think needs to grow. And, we put off, I remember we had a vote on a road, there by, FedEx, and, we took it out. And now to do that road today is gonna cost 2 or 3 times, or a significant amount more than it's gonna cost then. And, I think, if we wait to build hangars, 5 years down the road or whenever, I think we're gonna run into the same situation. And I can remember when we first started the budget process, we were looking at $1.1 million or $1.3 million for parks, and we thought we'd really done a good thing, which we had. And now we're talking about double that money, but then we're worried about spending $74,000 on some software. Where I work, we have homemade software, and I'm going to tell you, it's not as good as the commercial software. And things change, and we don't have the ability to adapt it. And if we get software that's commercial, that can be changed and upgrades can be made. And so, whatever the council votes to do, I'll support. I'm just saying that I'm not opposed to the software or the hangars.
So Gene, you think the hangars are putting the residents first?
Well, again, I don't know that we can measure it by the revenue it brings in, but I think if the airport thrives and it helps bring industry here, I think it does benefit everyone. And so, no, is it a direct benefit that can be measured today? No, I don't think so. But what's the impact going to be 10 years down the road or 15 years down the road?
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
I lost track of what it is.
The motion is to approve the budget as read. Leave everything in. I just think it's the wrong way to spend the citizens' money, especially the ARPA funding. We're going to do a roll call vote. Councilman McGoy?
Aye.
Vice Mayor?
Aye.
Councilman Brent?
Aye.
Aye.
Gene?
Aye.
Okay, and of course, I vote no. It's not the right way to be putting the residents first, spending their money. So I think it's a really bad decision. So, we're gonna be moving right along. I can't wait to see them build 10 hangars for $640,000. Yes,
I
you
just
wanna
need to-
read that in?
Yes, please. Resolution number R22-023, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, approving and adopting the city budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023.
All right. Item 10.2, or 11.2, which is resolution R2222, annual training policy. What's that?
Close the special meeting.
Oh,
Go into
we're in a special
reconvene.
meeting?
Yeah, for the adoption of the final
Okay,
budget.
close the special meeting. We're gonna go into resolution 2221, economic development. Sorry, Jamie, my bad.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the Mayor and Council to adopt and approve Resolution 22-021, a resolution encouraging new construction within the city, fee waiver, and assistance through the Economic Development Fund. This budget for the upcoming fiscal year that you just passed includes funding to continue the following programs: waive single-family building permits, reimburse 50% of water capacity fees, reimburse 50% of water meter fees, and waive 100% of sewer capacity fees for those residents who switch from septic to our city sewer. It is staff's recommendation to approve and adopt Resolution 22-021. The program is used frequently for new home construction. With that, I will stand for questions.
I move we approve resolution R 22-021.
Second.
Any discussion? I have some. So how does this work with the developer? If the developer builds a house and sells it to you, who gets this,
The homeowner does. So for instance, if you're the developer and you got a C of O, say in April, when the utilities get put in the new resident's name, that's when the reimbursement goes through.
so the developer pays for all this up front still?
No. Cabrina, would you be able to walk them through the department, the financial? Yeah. So when we do a C of O, then a water reimbursement memo routes through Morgan, myself, and Cabrina. So the three of us make sure that everything in our department has been taken care of. And so it's the homeowner who gets the reimbursement.
Okay, so let me understand this correctly. If a developer walks in, he's paying all of these fees. He's paying all of these fees up front.
So Cabrina can walk you through the process through finance.
Okay.
For the water capacity fees, they should be paying for those fees when they get that CFO, they will go in and the developer will pay it. And then when the citizen has that CFO, they'll come down to customer service and they will reimburse them for the 50% that the developer has done.
Okay, but we're waiving the single-family building permits. So if a developer walks in, does the developer pay for a building permit?
No building permits are being paid for that single residential.
Okay, so the only thing that gets reimbursed to the new homeowner is the 50% water capacity fee?
Yes, so if they come in for a building permit, those fees are waived for new single-family residences. The only reason that they would have to pay is the requirements that you see below that. If they don't meet those requirements, then they have to pay.
I guess either I'm not explaining it correctly or I'm not getting the answer that I need.
I think what you're asking is
So
developer
if I come
profiting.
in as a developer and I'm building a house
Mm-hmm.
on a piece of property and it's in the city limits, what do I pay for?
You pay for the water capacity fees and everything. You do
Wait,
not.
and I wanna hear you say it, and everything, I don't wanna hear that. What do I pay
You pay
for?
for the water capacity and the sewer capacity fees, correct? And then your building permit fee is waived unless the criteria below are not met.
Okay, so a developer won't be paying for the building fees, but will pay for the water capacity fee of 50%, or the whole amount
They pay the whole amount, and then the reimbursement is for 50% to the homeowner.
to the homeowner. And you're waiving the sewer capacity fee 100%, so I don't pay that.
That's if you are abandoning a septic tank.
Okay, that's
and-
only if I abandon a septic tank.
Yes. So it's water capacity and water meter that you get reimbursed 50%.
So I'll pay 100% of the water capacity fee, and
Yes,
the homeowner gets 50% of that when they take ownership of the home.
yes, and the city retains the other half, and Morgan can explain in his division what those fees go to
And
cover.
then they will also get the other 50% of the water meter fee.
Yes,
The homeowner will.
yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion second. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
I don't want to get into this very deep, but why is there so much building going on and we're having to bribe people to build in our city? I think that's something we've got to discuss at some point, because, I mean, I don't know how many building permits you're putting out, but I know how many I'm putting out, and we're not having to ask anybody to come build where we're at. I mean, granted, we got a little more space, but I think we need to look at that and see if there's something else that's not wrong. And I don't want to discuss it tonight, but I do want to discuss it at some point. I'm in favor for this for now, but it can't go on forever.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Jamie. Resolution 2222. And yeah, now you're up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for Mayor and Council to adopt Resolution R22-022, a resolution adopting new policy annual training. The City of Safford has previously only required mandatory and risk management training at time of onboarding for all staff through the current LMS. It has not previously been required for employees to complete needed training anytime after the onboarding process that is typically required on an annual basis. Training such as sexual harassment prevention, general safety training, workplace ethics, and FMLA are encouraged to help with risk mitigation and to increase workplace environment knowledge. The City of Safford has an LMS that is provided at no additional charge through the Arizona Municipal Risk Retention Pool that provides these trainings. It is recommended that employees be required to complete the trainings as mentioned in the annual training policy once every year, in addition to trainings their department heads have selected on a per department, per position basis. Do you have any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This is all, none of this training's hands-on? I mean,
The departments have trainings that the department heads host, that they bring different trainers in specific to what they need in their department. Like I know the electrical, they have electrical trainers come in, those kind of things. This is just like general workplace training, not necessarily the hands-on training that's already being taken care of.
it's just the housekeeping training.
Correct.
So, and it also says that any employee that doesn't complete this will be disciplined, but is every effort made that they pass it, that they?
Yes, so we're giving them 6 months to complete the training from July to December. The trainings are only between, some of them range from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, and so they can do them at their own pace. And I'm going to be in contact with the department heads to just kind of remind them, you've got a month left, you've got 2 weeks left, to encourage them to complete their trainings. And then it's up to the department heads, if they don't finish their trainings, to mention it on their eval or take whatever action they feel like they need to encourage them to get them to finish.
And none of this training hampers anybody, you think everybody, because see, I'm not as computer literate as the younger rascals.
I don't think so. I believe the majority of the staff, except for some long-term employees, did these when they were onboarded. And if they need help, we have computers in HR. We can help them along.
They'll have every bit of help before you discipline them.
Correct.
Okay.
Anybody else? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. I don't think we read the last one. Do you need to read that resolution in?
Yes, if you don't mind, I'll do both.
And by the way, Miss Palmer was a wrangler over the weekend.
Yes.
She
It was a
was.
fun time.
Go ahead.
So resolution number R22-021, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Safford encouraging new construction within the city, fee waiver and assistance through the Economic Development Fund. Resolution number R22-022, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, establishing an annual training policy in order to encourage and develop a well-trained, motivated workforce.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution 2224, John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. This is a request for Mayor and council to approve and adopt resolution number R22-024, authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with fire protection, or for fire protection services between the City of Safford and the Safford Rural Fire District Number 1. The initial period running from July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023, with automatic renewals annually for the subsequent 5-year period. Staff recommends approval, and Clark, the fire chief and I met with the district board and went over the agreement. It's the agreement that has been in place for a number of years now. The mechanism by which it functions is that we split our annual operating budget with them, so we bring them the preliminary budget, they get to review that. And this year, the total budget for fire was $889,577, meaning that the fire district will pick up $444,789. And there are also provisions within the agreement to cover installation of fire hydrants, which we do for the district and get reimbursed for. And then there's also provisions for putting in capital infrastructure outside of the normal budget, normal operating budget. Again, all these provisions are provisions that existed in the agreement. The agreement itself is essentially the same, with some minor legalese that have been updated, and also the timeframes have been updated.
I move we approve resolution R 22-024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
One of it here says, and you touched on it a little bit about the hydrants, we install them. It says the city will maintain and repair all hydrants within the district. That's quite a few hydrants. We're responsible for hydrants that are, because we have the majority of the water system, but not, so we're responsible for every fire hydrant within the district.
Mayor, Councilman Lopez, that's correct. So the district is within our service area, our water service area, so the hydrant we'd be installing is attached to our current system, and we would just include that in our annual maintenance.
It's in our service area.
Correct. So for an example of the district area south of town, in Thunderbird Heights or Valley, if we were to install a hydrant out there with the agreement of the district, we would continue to maintain that hydrant like all other hydrants.
I guess I don't know all the boundaries of the district, but FEMA has their water. We're responsible for their hydrants.
No, sir.
Okay. Just ours. Okay.
Correct.
That's clear now.
Any other? We have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Go ahead, Tammy.
Resolution number R 22-024, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, adopting and approving an intergovernmental agreement for fire protection services between the City of Safford and the Safford Rural Fire District Number 1.
Okay. Resolution R 2225. Sabrina?
Mayor and Council, this is a request to adopt Resolution R 22-025, designating myself as the Chief Financial Officer for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2022. This designation allows me to file the annual expenditure limitation report with the Auditor General's Office on behalf of the city after the annual audit has been completed. Any
I
questions?
move we approve resolution R 22-025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Tammy?
22-025, a resolution of the City of Safford, Arizona, Mayor and Common Council designating the Chief Fiscal Officer for officially submitting the fiscal year 2022 expenditure limitation report to the Arizona Auditor General.
Okay, resolution 2226. Sabrina? Ms. Palmer, either one?
Mayor and Council, this is a staff request the adoption of Resolution R 22-026 for the amendment of Resolution R 17006, healthcare insurance premiums. This amendment would change the monthly insurance premiums for dependent coverage from 70% to 85% and would commence July 1st of 2022, of fiscal year 2023. On March 14th, 2022, staff requested direction on health insurance premium contributions. Direction was given to staff to move forward with the 8515 health insurance premium contribution for dependent coverage, which has been included in the fiscal year 2023 budget. Any questions?
I move we approve resolution R 22-026.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Stanley, go ahead.
opposed, Councilman Seal?
No, he's just a little
No,
late.
I said
Lag
I was
time.
in favor.
He's in favor.
Lag time.
Just a little bit of delay there, because you kind of, thank you.
Resolution number R 22-026, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Safford, Arizona, amending R 17-006, healthcare insurance premiums.
All right, resolution 2229. Cameron?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request for the Mayor and Council to approve and adopt Resolution R22-029, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into 3 lease extensions for T-hangars at the airport. This will be exercised for Aaron Allen, Alan Pump, and John Griffin. All 3 hangar leases are expiring on June 30th, and the tenants are requesting to continue their leases. Staff recommends approval.
So on here, you say that they want a new year lease, and they also want to extend, a year extension also on this as well. This is prior to you even coming with us with a rate study, correct?
Correct.
So they have an opportunity for two years extension, or at least a 1 year extension
What 1-year extension, and after this
at this current price.
At this current price, while we conduct the rate study at the end of this year, then we would enter into a new lease agreement at a new rate if council were to approve a new rate.
But that's after their 1 year extension,
Correct.
so that they'll be in for 2 years.
No, this is a 1-year extension starting July 1st. So it would run from July 1st, 2022 until June 30th, 2023.
Just a 1-year renewal.
That's
Correct.
what I
It
It's
was
just a 1 year?
A 1-year.
See, I
read.
read in 2. Is
Yeah,
you reading 2?
No, I read.
You're reading 1?
Mhm. Hopefully that's what I read, because you know how I read.
You read it from again?
Yeah.
And
1 year,
so
1
what is
year,
what is our current rate?
So currently, our rate is $85 a month, and this is subject to a 3% increase every year. This rate has been unchanged since prior to these leases starting. All 3 leases started in 2013. So we are looking at increasing that or moving that based on market value. So that is a study we're currently engaged in to try to determine what is going to be the appropriate rate for those hangars.
What is a T-hanger?
So a T-hanger it shares walls and the back. So they're stacked side to side, and then they're stacked one behind another to share walls, so they're cheaper to construct and they're more space compact. So it literally looks like a T, so that the airplane and the wings fit in, and they're kind of stacked in with each other to save space and materials.
So the part that faces the runway is always open.
No, so they do have doors that close, and they don't face the runway. The ones we currently have face Ponderosa Aviation on the one side and BLM on the other, and they just open out onto an apron that's well away from the runway.
That's what I'm saying, they open out to the apron, which takes
Yes,
them right
correct.
onto the.
Correct, and they have rolling doors, or folding doors rather.
So you, on your airport fee, you have a T-hanger rental, and then they also have a, well, that would probably get us out of this context, okay. How soon are you gonna have this study back to us?
I can work with Lance and John, and we should have it back to here within a few months. I think should be more than reasonable.
And I'm sure you're gonna be not just looking at John and Lance, you're gonna be looking at other airports, correct?
Absolutely, and we already have. We're looking at airports all across Arizona, specifically airports that are more similar to Safford. Obviously, airports in the valley are going to differ slightly in what they're going to charge based on demand. So we're looking at airports more similar to ours.
Guys, this is just, at even if you increased it at $117.37, there's no way you're gonna pay this $640,000 off. I think it's just absolutely asinine crazy. All those in favor? Oh, do we have a motion? Sorry.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
You're in favor, right, Dean? Or, I'm sorry, Councilman Seal?
I'm looking forward to know more
Yeah,
about you. I haven't
yeah,
really
Arnold
met you
told me
or
about
know
you.
anything about you.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to talk
Because
after. If you want.
sometimes we get an update, sometimes we don't, but I just want to see if we're related or not.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tammy.
Resolution number R22-029, a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, authorizing the city manager to enter into an amended lease agreement authorizing amendments to the consideration of the leases for hangars T2, T3, and T4 at the Safford Regional Airport.
Perfect. Report purchasing cards and 5,000 expenditures and over 5,000. Everybody have a chance to look at those? Any questions on them?
I have a few. I've asked some out already, but, out at the landfill, we had fuel purchase, but if that's all it says, fuel purchase, it doesn't give gallons. I'd like to know.
And is it red fuel too?
Yeah, it's not red fuel.
It's not?
Red fuel's still under, and I'm kinda thinking or heard that, that might be ending up costing us more, but I don't know.
Oh, really? Red fuel, huh?
Possible, so we'll
Put a
find
dye
out.
in it.
The full report isn't in yet, Mayor.
Okay.
Okay.
You have any other questions on that?
No, I'm hoping it gets caught up. I did, some of the questions I had, I've found the answer to.
You already got 'em?
And they don't trouble me anymore.
Anybody over 5,000? We're good on that? Last call. Announcement of current events.
We have the 4th of July parade on Monday, so if you're available, please come out.
Okay, and I think, John, you have something on current events tonight, don't you?
I do. I wanted to make a request from council to see if we would be able to cancel the second meeting in July.
Second meeting in July. Go ahead.
I will be gone.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I'll be vacationing out of town that week as well.
I have no problem with it.
Okay,
Have no problem.
All right.
okay. That's plenty, yeah.
And I had one other
I thought
item
you
regarding, though, I can see I threw you off with that, right?
I wasn't gonna let you get away with it.
For, Chairman David had come to me and expressed some very good news. I sent an email out today, and he's here, and I asked him if he would step up and just say a few words about it, because it's pretty significant, so if you could.
Evening, Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor Couts. Thank you, Vice Mayor Ortega and council members. Thank you, John, for the opportunity. It's not often that we get to share good news. Oh, by the way, I was just going to compliment you. You're one of the most efficient chairs that I have the pleasure of watching, and I see a lot. The news I have is the legislative session just wrapped up, and there was a group of people starting out with what they call the Rural Transportation Advocacy Council, which is part of SEGO, and they basically advocate for 13 counties for transportation funds that don't ordinarily trickle down. Vice Mayor Ortega with SEGO is instrumental in helping with that transportation requests. Anyway, long story short, Senator Gowan and the Rural Transportation Caucus, Representative Griffin and Diaz from our district, as well as Sine Kerr, Speaker Bowers, and President Fan and others, Representative Dunn, they put in an appropriation. We requested, because ADOT, their 5-year program, we have zeros, except for this year. There are no projects in Graham County for the next 4 years. And Greenlee County has one project for $500,000 for the next 5 years. Zeros, the rest, goose eggs, the rest. They were kind enough to recognize the fact that the State Transportation Board has overlooked our counties and spent that money somewhere else. And so they put together an appropriation for $16 million. And this will happen in this next year, at least it's supposed to be fiscal year 23, from Army Road all the way down to the 191 intersection south and then out to Hollywood Road, a 5-lane mill and replacement project, $16 million, which we weren't going to get, and they were kind enough to do that with inputs and requests. Greenlee County, the 10 miles between Three-Way and Morenci, that divided highway and then the combined highway. In 23, they also get $22 million. So those are our people at the legislature who were looking out for us. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. I thank Vice Chairman, Vice Mayor Ortega for his efforts. So it'll look better. Graham County's going to look better. There is one other project I'd report on. It was going to happen anyway. From 191 from the 366, which is the Swift Trail out to the Fort Grant Junction. There's a mill and replace project for about $10 million that's going to happen this year. So we should have 3 good projects in our 2 counties. Thank you very much. Did you need my address, Tamara? Okay, thanks.
We appreciate that. Thank you,
You're
Chair,
very
for
welcome.
that work, and Vice Mayor, thank you as well.
Tell him something?
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on. You get some more praises.
And I'm used to calling you Paul, so I'll call you Supervisor David while we're in here. I appreciate that, the way you've been doing things. When Jimmy left, we thought we had lost some of our contacts within the state representatives, but, I don't think we've missed a step, and I appreciate that the relationship you have with our legislators.
Well, thank you, and it's I do it because we're a rising tide lifts all boats. You know, we're in it together. You know, what's good for Graham County, good for Safford is good for everybody. What's good for Greenlee, you know. So it's a blessing, and it's great to get along, to have the councils and county government that gets along, and we all benefit from it. So thank you.
Thanks again. Appreciate that. Anybody else under current events? John, you got anything else up your sleeve?
No, I don't.
No. Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to thank our crews that have been cleaning the drainage. They've hit some areas, and the residents have been real thankful that they did it before the rain came. And so that's a never-ending story, the drainage, and an unthankful job. So thank you very much to the crews that did that.
Perfect.
Then if there's nothing else, I move we adjourn.
No, we got a couple more.
Do we?
Yeah, hang on. Future agenda items.
Oh, okay.
We're almost. Future agenda items. Anybody have anything on the future agenda items? All right, we're gonna go on to report on operational items. Do you have anything on that? Well, now we can. Did you not get on those? I had a special paper, I guess.
I was looking for what you're talking about. Then let's adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.